Miss Sunshine, Little Miss Sunshine, 2006. I've just watched the trailer again. I seen the film a few times, including when it first came out nearly 19 years ago in the summer of 2006. And I even bought the DVD, watched the audio commentary, and it's probably my favorite film of that particular year. Well, it's certainly up there. And I decided not to make any notes for this. I usually write a few notes just to jog my memory, even if I don't read them off. But let's see if I can go totally off script and just say what I think about it. Firstly, a synopsis. It's about a young girl about 7 years old. Abigail Breslin plays her, and She she's got such a wild family. It's just, like, brilliant, dysfunctional. I mean, every family is dysfunctional, but this is such a perfect combination, and all of the people in it, I don't suppose Abigail Breslin was famous until this film, but all the adults were well known to most people. Maybe, well, I might have been unsure about some of them, but it was that my introduction to them in this case. So there was Toni Collette starring as the mother, Greg Kinnear as the father, there was Steve Carell who played the uncle, and Alan Arkin who plays the granddad. And on this particular day, all hell breaks loose because um, Abigail, uh, I should have actually looked up the names of the characters because I've forgotten them. But um, the 7-year-old girl gets a phone call, um, and her she's actually won a place in this competition, Little Miss Sunshine, in Redondo Beach in California. And this really struck me as the year before, that summer before 2005, I went for the first time to California with a friend, and I remember the signs for Redondo Beach uh, when first we found a place when we touched down in LAX. My friend and I found a place in Inglewood to stay, and that's like uh, would have been South Central LA. It's now called South LA. Los Angeles has had a reputation at times because of, say, the 1992 riots, all those sorts of things, although I think they were even in, you know, much further north areas, but um, had no problem staying there. But was on the beach, it's on the beach. I've stayed in El Segundo as well, which is really close. So I love this. I thought, wow, and these this family, they're going about, they live somewhere like Albuquerque, I think, somewhere in the Midwest. Can't even remember what state, but it's like a couple of days drive away from California. And so because she's won a competition, and the family think, well, some of the family perhaps reluctant, but the family decide it's a good idea to go to um, this competition as a group, including now uh, the mother has picked up um, her brother, the Steve Carell's character, who has trigger warning now, attempted suicide, and so he has bandages and everything, and he's been treated cautiously by his sister. And oh gosh, I really understand that feeling. And when you don't know about all the impact of mental health. There's that aspect. They put him to that night, he's going to sleep in, um, um, the son's bedroom, and the son is played by Paul Dano, and, he's called Dwayne. Gosh, I'm starting to remember names. But Dwayne is, he's taken a vow of silence because, um, he wants to join the air not the RAF, but the Army or the Air Force, the US Air Force, I guess. And, until he gets in, he's, like, not talking to anyone. So, he writes on scraps of paper, and, he's not happy that Steve Carell's character is staying with him. So there's all these dynamics. There's, like, a bit of fighting going on between, uh, Greg Kinnear and Tony Collette's characters, but they all get in this yellow minibus, yellow minivan, and head off west the following morning, on their mega journey to California, and a lot of things happen. They stay overnight en route. Um, Greg Kinnear's character, he's trying to close a deal. He even drives about 25 miles to another town, to Scottsdale, Arizona, to try and close a deal. Oh, messes it all up. So there's that going on. I think Tony Collette's probably the most balanced character. Maybe, oh gosh, I don't know. The grandfather's pretty. He's a bit. No, he's quite. Um, the things he says. I mean, he talks about he's got Nazi bullets in his head. So he did fight the Nazis. So he's not like many of the characters now, but he's not very good on um, uh, Steve Carell's character's gayness for a start. I mean, he makes some quips, but then quite a few unexpected things happen in this film. Um, and they go to hospital for one point. I won't go into spoilers, but there's some pretty dramatic stuff that happens there. It's really, I think it's absolute blast of I don't know how much it would happen in real life, whether you could actually do what this family do without getting into a whole pile of trouble. They have the van breaks down, or it will stop, but it won't stop, and I mean, they have to push it ages to get it to start for their second journey. Like after they stopped overnight. There's they get pulled over by the police. There's various characters have nervous breakdowns or some sort of big um, breakdowns or difficulties that need the whole family to more or less pull together. And when it's the brother's turn, Paul Dano's character, he gets upset about something, wants to get out of the car, stop when he finds something out. And it's Abigail Breslin. Uh, this really moving scene. I found it extremely moving when she goes down and puts her arm around him. And she's so tiny, being 7 years old. He's probably about 15. So there's a big age gap, and it's just so sweet. I think moments like that, and the scenes toward the end when they get to this pageant. I mean, the pageants in California, or actually probably all the way through the USA, they're ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if they happen in the UK, but I saw this film with a friend who was utterly shocked by the sort of stuff that these pageants show. I mean, they're really young primary school, elementary school, school kids, and they're just sort of, oh, it's just like, really? Do they do this? I mean, my friends going, Gosh, well, how on earth can we actually do this?" These sort of things encourage seven-year-olds to behave like this. But I won't go into all the details, obviously. I mean, in a way, there is a bit that not everyone, uh, like, um, I mean, it's very tenuous, them even getting into the pageant because they arrive so late, and there's all a sort of thing about what will, given all the divides in the family. Um, it really is about how you can have so much divergence in attitude between family members, and yet you can still come together when it really matters. I mean, I think that is the ultimate message. How it happens is an absolute thrill. And it also, I mean, at the moment, I think the divides in the USA and even in the UK have got absolutely enormous. And it is tragic, I think. I mean, in the UK, we've had Brexit. In the USA, they've had a lot of political stuff. And I don't blame one side for not supporting the other side because of exactly what it means. And I'm not going into that in this film review. But when people in families can accept each other and their differences, and especially, I mean, stuff like LGBTQIA plus stuff, um, and all differences, people chasing business deals and differences in humor and Steve Carell's character is sort of like he's like the something like the number one or number two Proust expert in is it in the whole country or something like that. There's some sort of thing that he keeps mentioning at some point. But um, yeah, there's all this stuff that because they're all very wrapped up in their own lives, and yet they all these forces are trying to push them apart while they're stuck in a little minivan, um, wonderful yellow color hippie van driving down to California on the freeway. Getting finding a force that will actually bring them all together to support each other really is heartwarming. And for that, I'm going to score this 9.5. As I say, it was like one of the best films of 2006, I thought. I remember the day I went to see it, I was working in Pimlico and I walked over to Canary Wharf to West India Quay, Cineworld, and it's quite a walk, and I was pretty tired when I got there. And yet, this film really livened me up. I just thought it was such fun, and I went to see it again. And then I bought the DVD when it was available, and I watched that several times over. Um, it was just one of those films which teach a lot of life lessons, and I put it up with films like Mean Girls from a couple of years earlier, I Heart Huckabees. I really enjoyed that. The sort of noughties films that really appealed a lot to me. Synecdoche, New York. That was another one, but this was like a really brilliant film. Great distraction when you're feeling low because if it's about disagreements, it kind of shows that you can have strong disagreements with people on many things, but you can still make amends. You can still pull together often. Maybe not always. Sometimes you just need to find other support, but that's the complex nature of life. So that's my review. I'd love to know what you think about this review. Um, um, you know, please, yeah, please hit the like if you like this review. Please, um, please consider subscribing. Thanks if you already do, and hit the notification button. And I hope to see you again soon. And really, I probably do need to write a few prompt notes, even just to remind me about these things I repeat at the end of every single video. Anyway, I mean, surely I can remember that, but no, my mind sort of wanders and I forget things. But um, I suppose I'm also thinking about all the other films because once you think of one particular actor, like Tony Collette, seeing one film, and then I think, oh, I'd love to see her in another film. I remember the first film I saw him, which was, I think, I didn't see it at the time, but Muriel's Wedding. I think it was that. Um, and it's really the same for all of them. Alan Arkin in Argo a few years later, and Steve Carell in lots of films like The Big Short. Greg Kinnear, I could probably think of a few films that he's been in. Paul Dano, yeah, Abigail Breslin. What she's been in quite a few good films since. Okay, thank you. um, thanks for watching. Bye for now.